Big federal court update today. And John Crook didn't even show up. And the judge called him out on it. The judge in federal court set up a status conference call for Fed case number 1. That's the defamation. We've got business interference. There's so much in there, it's ridiculous. Oh, and the evidence, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of screenshots, that are called fraudulent. Well, the jury's going to decide. So what happens is the judge sends out a motion and states, we're going to have a status call, a conference call. And it is going to be on the record, and the only individuals allowed to be on that call are myself, my counsel, Randy Shockett, LIEnette, and Crook, since they have no current counsel. And yet, that's right, somebody on the internet posted the entire motion with the phone number, with the access code, what to do. Oh yeah, and somebody tried to get in. Okay, so let's back up just a little bit. Okay, we understand that everything is on stay, or what's called a pause right now. Reason being is because Deuce, in all his genius, he said that his clients, they kicked him out. They fired him, in essence. And then he told the judge in further communications that he was going to stay on the case. I mean, this is exactly like, my mom died, my mom didn't die. Crook would never point something at somebody. Crook has threatened to unalive me and my mom. Oh, I have no disc. I can't even walk or carry 2 gallons of milk. Look at me run! To the sheriff, to Channel 20. The list goes on and on. I know you know that. We all know that. So what we're given is this number to call. And then the judge, or the federal courthouse, is hosting this status or conference call. So I'm the first one that actually calls in. And I call in, and the host or one of the employees at the courthouse asks, can you identify yourself? I can't even understand what's going on. The sound is so hideous. It is extremely bad. And so I didn't even know I was being talked to. And then again, it's like an echo chamber. You ever had somebody on speakerphone and you're like, hey, would you just turn the speakerphone off and put the phone on your ear so I can actually hear you? Well, this was absolute, like they were 50 miles away from the actual speaker. But I did end up identifying myself, and there was this horrendous echo, just echo, echo, echo. It just kept ringing over and over and over again. And so that was extremely odd. Now, we were instructed to call in 5 minutes early for the status conference call. I called in 6 minutes early. Apparently, I was the first one. And then what happens is there's LIEnette. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And so the lady host in the federal court states and says, hey, can you identify yourself? And LIEnette doesn't know she's being spoken to. So she says nothing whatsoever because we're told in the instructions, you are to be on mute. Do not unmute yourself. Well, said again, identify yourself, caller. And then she goes, this is Lynette Preston. And the funniest thing in the world, she has to emphasize, but I go by Michelle. Now, hold a second. We know everybody in Northport, before she jumped out of there because she burns every bridge and then she runs somewhere else, right? They all know her as Ruby. Yes, Ruby. Everybody in Northport knows her as Ruby, yet she's Michelle now. Oh, that's right. Her entire family knows her as Lacey. They actually have always called her Spacey Lacey. But she's concerned about me saying LIEnette. That northern accent. I might have picked it up living in Florida for a little bit. You never know. You go different places, you pick up different accents. So she emphasizes to this woman, but I go by Michelle. As if this woman cares. This is federal court. Your legal name is what you will be addressed as. End of story. And you're not going to be called Ruby or Alexis or Lacey or any of these other insane name changes for these people with... Well, but there's somebody else on her side now that uses that same Alexis and has some of the same unhinged issues in the head. All right, so the host then asked LIEnette, Is Crook going to be here? And LIEnette goes, well, I don't know. That's not up to me. Wait, hold a second. Because I have plenty of screenshots saying that, number one, she wants him out of his life. Number two, he's her soulmate. And then it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If that ain't bipolar, I don't know what is. Okay? So how does she not know where her soulmate is? But she's claiming she's not responsible. I'm not responsible for John. Okay. She's literally saying that. She says it later to the judge as well. And yet, this is the same individual that is claiming that I'm responsible for anything that happens online. She's not responsible for anything that other people do, but apparently she says I'm responsible for everything everybody does. Hey, when in doubt, blame Jeremy. Apparently, I am the chief of the tribe. I didn't know it. Now I do. Okay, so my legal counsel shows up next. That would be Randy Shockett. And he phones in and she asks for identification. And he doesn't understand either. I am extremely serious when I'm telling you the audio on this phone call was atrocious. It was so bad. So bad. And it just kept ringing in an echo chamber. And we could hear them without an echo. But as soon as we said something, it just bounced and went straight back into their speaker, and it was horrible. So she goes through the same process that she did with me, with LIEnette, and then with Randy. Randy identifies himself, and then another person tries to call in, and she's trying to get this person to identify. Now, keep in mind, as I've already shared with you, that this entirety of this document and the information, how to call in and all of this, has already been shared publicly by a walrus. Okay? And so there's not that many people that watch. And frankly, 75% of the people that watch are just reporting everything back to us anyway of what's going on. And so there are some people in that camp that tried to phone in, and they were then knocked out. And so again, the host says, has Cook joined? Is Cook here? And said, identify yourself. Is that you, Cook? Identify yourself. And the person would not identify themselves. And that person was booted. And again, we're asked, is Crook coming? And we get no response. And so the lady that works in the federal courthouse, she actually says, we're going to delay this for a couple minutes to see if Crook is actually going to show. Now, do you think Crook would actually show when he has been court ordered? By the way, he probably should have received sanctions today as well, because he knew very well that everything was on stay, everybody was ordered, no more motions whatsoever, and then he submits motions that were written not by him, by Deuce, which again breaks the law. And now sanctions should be imposed on Crook 2 times. Because he filed the same motion 2 times. One signed, one unsigned, and then the judge struck it immediately from the docket. And so Crook's not there. We're delayed. This whole process has been delayed. Oh wait, that's Deuce that is publicly stated. He's so proud that he has delayed this case for 5 months. One of his proudest accomplishments. Curious how the judge is going to feel about that, and the jury, once they see this in both Fed case 1 and 2. So we're now again delayed because of Crook. Maybe he's patching up holes that a child is screaming at Travis Willis. Or maybe he's, I don't know, wrapping his leg up to the crotch so he can measure things out on the road. Who knows? Who knows? But he's not there. And LIEnette is saying, I'm not responsible for him. So eventually, Randy states to the host and says, well, who's the other person that just called in? I want identification. Who is the other person? And the host does not give identification because the person who called in did not give identification. But no doubt this person definitely has a number. Now, if it's the person that I think it is, I mean, it could have been Paint Chips, could have been an asbestos boy. Most likely asbestos boy. He just got reprimanded for another thing in court. Probably using a fake number to call in and immediately getting booted in the first place. Again, I I can't tell you with certainty who it was, but there's no doubt somebody had ill intentions trying to phone in, and the host booted them. No identification. You're not going to be in this. As a matter of fact, the judge makes it some pretty strong statements once the judge arrives. So the judge is alerted to the situation that Crook isn't there. Jeremy, Randy, LIEnette are. Let's get this thing rolling. So the judge comes in on the host, and he says, I've been told that Crook isn't here, and what's going on? And specifically, he states, we are on the record now. Randy, are you here? Yes. Jeremy. Yeah, well, actually, he goes, Mr. Shockett, are you present? Yes. And then he goes, LIEnette Preston. Yes. Now, why didn't LIEnette go, I go by Michelle? I mean, she went off on it in the beginning. Why not again with the judge? I mean, honestly, I got to admit, I thought LIEnette was going to be completely and totally unhinged in this phone call. You add Crook to that. Oh, my goodness. And the judge getting their first taste of these two. So what happens is judge asks for who's in attendance and states we're on the record and wants to know, is he joining us or not? And he asked LIEnette, is Mr. Cook, which I call Crook, to protect his identity and to label him for what he really is, a scammer, a con, and a complete and total embarrassment to anybody who knows him. And so ask, is he going to be joining us? Again, where she goes off, I know nothing. I'm not responsible for him. I thought he was going to be. I don't know. Oh, that's right. They live in two separate things. You realize that they live in two separate things because they're taking advantage of the government. If they live in the same thing, they lose benefits. The government shows up and she's in a shed and he's in a camper and they live in two separate things, they get more money. It's all part of the scam. You get that, right? But do you also understand who's damaged in all of this? A child. An innocent child who's being utilized for income instead of abled individuals going out and working for income. And it's sick. It's horrendous. It's horrible. And what does that child experience every day? Some of the most vile conditions, some of the most vile language. It goes on and on and on. It's beyond concerning. So we are then all asked, as the judge comes on and says, I want to remind everybody, this is a federal court hearing. We are on the record. And we are in federal court right now. There will be no recording. There will be no broadcasting of what is going on. And so he goes down the list. He goes, Mr. Shockett, can you confirm you're not recording? He goes, no, I'm not recording. And he goes, LIEnette, you confirm you're not recording? No, I'm not recording. Which before, LIEnette was stating that she was on speakerphone. So George and I already kind of figured that she was going to be recording and sending it to Deuce, which is our deduction, which I have no doubt is what happened anyway. She's a pathological liar. I'm sure she recorded it all. I'm sure she's sending it to Deuce. Remember, Deuce said, I'm gone. I got fired. No, wait, I'm still here. I'm going to help through this whole process. Then he authors the motions for Crook. We already figured she was on speakerphone and she was going to be recording, which George was not here. This is just something George and I talked about beforehand. This was definitely going to be happening. So I have no doubt she did record, even though she stated she didn't record, and it would be illegal to do such. And so there's no recording, there's no broadcasting. In other words, going live. For example, I could have illegally, which I would have never done, turned my phone on, gone live in court. Now, there are some other piles of guano who does that here in Ohio in court, and it's a major issue. You get caught, you're busted. So she says, no, I'm not doing that. And I get on and I state, listen, this echo is horrible. I can't hear anything. I can only hear, because then he asked me, he's like, Mr. Hales, do you understand no recording, no broadcast? And I said, yep, I understand completely. And I went, listen, Judge, you got to know this echo is horrible. I can't understand anybody but you. So when he would talk to us, I could hear. If Randy talked, it just went in this whirlwind of echo. If LIEnette talked, it went in this whirlwind of echo. It was bad, really bad. And the judge goes, okay, well, let's just see if we can make it work. Let's see if we can get through this and make it work, even though it's horrible sound. And if we need to, we'll go ahead and we'll shut it down and we'll start another call. And right now you're going, what's Jeremy doing down there? Well, it's completely and totally legal for me to take notes. And actually, I think my lawyer's probably calling me right now. It'd be my guess. Let me see. I got all kinds of things going on. Geez. Okay. All kinds of things going on. All right. Phone's going off like crazy right now. And I think everybody wants to know what happened in court. So, judge gets back on, goes, listen, we're going to make this work. We're going to try and do the best that we can to make this work. And he goes on record and he says, listen, I put this case on stay because of lack of counsel for LIEnette and Crook. And he specifically asked LIEnette, is that still true? Have you found counsel? And LIEnette goes, which again, you have to keep in mind, I can't understand everything that's going on in this echo chamber. So think about saying one word that echoes 10 more times, and then you say 2, 3, 4, 5 words echoing 10 times. It's all over each other. It's like boom, 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 stacked. I couldn't even understand what she said. And I'm sure Randy couldn't either, even though I think Randy might have just been calling me. But the judge can hear us, no echo on his end. It's all on our end, no matter what. If you're on speakerphone, if you're not on speakerphone, it doesn't matter. So because he's on speakerphone, it just was bouncing all over the room and going right back into the microphone. And the only thing that I really could gather is LIEnette goes, we found somebody. We're trying to get a retainer, which I think everybody already knows about that. And you have to also understand any lawyer that tries to jump in on this case is going to look at this and is going to go, your only option is to make a deal. And I'm not making any deals. I can't be any more clear. This is going to the fullest extent of the law for all of these freaks and what they've done to my life, George's life, to those who I love and that I have a responsibility to care for. Deanna, Christian, Patience. And it goes so much further than that, but those are the ones that you know of. And so this will be fullest extent of the law. And hopefully, because of going the fullest extent of the law, this will save other people from this horrendous treatment, from the lies, the manipulation, the harassment, the defamation. And so I know if this was happening to you or somebody you loved, you'd want somebody to step up for you. And the reality is that's what I'm doing. I'm stepping up for everybody so this never happens from these freaks again. And so she goes on to say, we're trying to get representation. We just need the money for the retainer fee. And I guarantee you any lawyer is going to run. I mean, let's see how many have so far. Okay, we had Silver Scam. He ran. He was going to be held responsible. I let him off easy, and I shouldn't have, but I'm just too nice sometimes. Because he ran, and I could have held him responsible for half of my legal fees. Oh, wait, then we had Stark. Oh, wait, we also had the White Ninja from Ohio. He ran, called my lawyer, apologized for Deuce and LIEnette and Crook. Literally, and my lawyers in Ohio go, we've never had the opposing counsel ever call us and apologize for those who they represented. This is a first in their life. And I said, well, this is a first for a lot of people, and this is going to make presidential law. This is going to set precedents for a lot of things in regards to this territory of online education, entertainment, vlogging. Okay, so she goes on to say, we're trying to get the retainer. And he goes, well, is this lawyer going to be representing Crook as well? Now, this is the interesting part. You want to hear the most interesting part? LIEnette says, no, this lawyer only represents me. John Cook is on his own. Oh, wait, hold a second. This is the woman who's used Crook to grift off of other people, telling everybody in Northport that she's leaving him because he's so, we'll call it bussive. And again, this isn't defamation because I'm quoting her actual messages, all public. She tells everybody she's leaving him. She's used him for the grift to try and get money from other people. She's gonna, because he's so bad, she is in federal court on the record now stating that this lawyer will only be for her. It is not for Crook. Crook is on his own. Which is interesting considering literally there was just a live stream today. Now, you have to understand that my lawyers already have these, but there was a live stream in which it was stated, I believe it's like this, too many phones. It was stated in the live stream that, this is hilarious. Hilarious. Okay. It was stated, where is it? Come on, it's so funny. It was Crook. It was Crook stating, thanking Fleesa for helping him with all of his court stuff. I was just like, oh my goodness. Careful, because some people mistake her for a lawyer and other people mistake her for a walrus. Okay. So don't you find that interesting that LIEnette is going to utilize this lawyer that she's trying to raise a retainer for all of these court cases in Florida? She has 2 federal court cases in Florida. She has 2 civil cases in Florida. As a matter of fact, June 18th is the next hearing for sanctions and legal fees against her for the thumbnail lawsuit. And then she has Trespass 5 that she's being sued for $55,000 plus damages. Wow. Interesting. By the way, if anyone out there thinks she's going to win, you are as foolish as she is. And she has listened to other scammers, such as Deuce, trying to use her for fame, thinking he was somehow going to get some money and fame. Oh, well, he's definitely famous now for all the wrong things. And for those who would say there's no bad thing as bad PR, you might want to ask P. Diddy about that. Epstein, P. Diddy, Deuce. Ask them. Is there bad PR? I'm going to say yes. All right. So LIEnette goes on. The judge goes on and goes, well, does Crook, is he going to have a lawyer? And she goes off on a tirade. I can't answer that. I'm not responsible for him. I have nothing to do with him. I'm like, she's throwing him under the bus to the judge. I wonder if she would have done that if Crook was on the phone call. She's literally throwing it. She's trying to separate herself as much as possible from him. I guarantee you, once this gets into court, she's going to say that he did the signs and not her. She's going to throw him as far under that bus as she possibly can. Now, we already know she wrote half the signs. We don't know who the other person is, although we do believe it is one of the, we'll call them cracker lovers. In Otter Creek, crack is everywhere. Head, put those 2 words together. Another rugger who they had on the property, Jessica. And we have reached out to Jessica, and we've not been able to make contact yet. But Crook and LIEnette had them living on the property, then claimed they stole a giant tortoise and everything. So we believe it was the exact same time that was this Jessica woman, though we have not been able to confirm that yet. But we do have confirmation that Crook and LIEnette and the child were in the vehicle when the signs were being placed by an eyewitness, an Otter Creek resident. Okay, so she goes off. I don't know. I'm not responsible for Crook. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And she can't answer. And the judge says, all right, well, obviously, there's no legal representation as of yet. Crook isn't even here, which is concerning. And he asked Randy, he says, would you object to a 14-day extension? Now, you got to pause right there, because I'm on a phone call with my legal representation and I can't speak. I'm in court. Only my lawyer speaks. I don't speak unless I'm spoken to, such as the judge saying, Mr. Hales, are you here? Yes, I'm here. There's a bad echo. Okay, well, we're going to try, keep going forward. So he asked Randy if he objects. And I have a major concern with this, because Randy should be asking me if I'm okay with this. I'm the one paying, right? As a matter of fact, another extension bleeds me of more money, more time, and I have a right to a speedy trial. And Deuce has already bragged that he extended it for 5 months, costing me how much money? Oh, but here's the thing. I still have all my integrity. I still have all my true character, who I am and what I believe and what's foundational of my life. What does he have? So money means very little to me, even though you may go, well, why do you talk about it all the time on YouTube? Well, I'll give you a YouTube tip. YouTube advertisers, the highest paying advertisers, are the ones talking about how to make money. And so if you want to make money on YouTube, you talk about making money. That's how it works. It's not really difficult. You go, oh, that's why you talk about making money? Yeah, because it makes money. And then I utilize that money to the things that I love, mostly Christian ministry. It'll go towards that or other individuals that I want to be a blessing to, such as Christmas in the Creek, the orphans in Egypt. And so money is an ends to a means. I used to say in full-time ministry, when I was in full-time ministry, we don't have ministry without the money. There's no impact without the income. It's a necessity. We have to have it. So if I want to give, I have to make. I have to make to be able to give. And so it's a necessary means. But my life is not at all centered around money or foundational around money. I've had nothing. I've had plenty. I've had nothing again. I've had plenty again. I'm sure I'll have nothing again. And then I'll rebuild and have plenty again. That's not what makes me me. This and what's in my heart is what makes me me. But I have a right to a speedy trial, and I'm not getting it, which is concerning. So Randy does state, as he answers the question, hey, we're okay with a 14-day stay, but this is the last one. No more at all. Now, this is 14 more days for federal case number 1, where they're going to try and raise money for a retainer for a lawyer, which everybody should have legal representation. But according to LIEnette, she's been her best legal representation. Yeah, she's actually put down in writing, I did a blank job of it as well. Okay. So I believe they absolutely need legal representation. And I think any legal representation that gets into this is immediately going to tell them, you better try and settle as soon as possible, because you are not in a good position. So I'm kind of on the other phone going, this is so inappropriate, because the judge should have given me and Randy an opportunity to actually speak to see if I'm okay with this. Or you could even say, well, Jeremy, maybe that's on you, because maybe you should have covered it with Randy beforehand. At any which way, the judge asks, is that okay? And Randy says, yes, but this is the absolute last one. We're not going for any more stays. None. It is moving forward from here on out. This is a problem. And the judge then asks LIEnette, you got a problem? Is that okay? 14 days? She goes, yeah, that's fine. And he reprimands her to the point that says, you better get this done as fast as possible. There will be no more stays. So if you don't have legal representation in 2 weeks, you are going to be representing yourself. Crook is going to be representing himself. And you better get it done as soon as possible. So there's a strong tone, reprimand, and get it done. And so I do believe there will be no more stays. As a matter of fact, I believe if Randy would object today, that the judge probably would not have put on another 14-day stay, that it would have went forward. At the other side of it, Randy wants to work with the judge for justice to provide me relief for what has happened in my life as well. And so there's that balance of, you see how upset I got when I'm like, why isn't the judge asking me if I want this stayed? You're not even giving me a chance to talk to my lawyer. Randy isn't as emotionally involved, even though I believe Randy is involved. He's an empath. So you have to eliminate my emotion from it and put Randy up there. And Randy goes, sure, that'd be great, Judge, but no more. This is the last one. And so I think that's a positive thing that Randy is working with the judge to make these things happen. And yet at the same time, my goodness, they won't stop calling. And yet at the same time, yeah, that's my phone just going off like crazy. At the same time, everybody wants to know what's going on. I'm telling you. At the same time, you set my emotion back and go, just sit, calm down, let me handle it. And that's what you pay a lawyer for. You pay a lawyer because they're not emotionally involved. Although obviously at this point, Randy's pretty emotionally involved as he's been attacked, his fiance's been attacked, his practice has been attacked, and these people will be held accountable. All right, so the judge then goes on to say that this better get done as soon as possible, and he is extremely concerned that Crook isn't there on the phone call. And he states that the main purpose of this phone call was for LIEnette and Crook, and yet Crook isn't there. And that's a problem. And so the whole main purpose for this call was to see where are we at with legal representation. Now, I thought we were going to get into some sanctions on Deuce. We were going to get into sanctions on Crook for his motions that were stricken. I thought we were going to get into other things. But the judge is very clear. Listen, the only thing we're talking about is their legal representation. And he goes on to emphasize that because Randy says, can I ask a question? And Randy goes, can I ask a question? What's going on with the pending motions on sanctions? And particularly why they didn't say Bruce's name or Deuce. That's what he's referring to, what's going on. And the judge is very, very clear. He goes, listen, this thing is on pause. There will be no rulings. There will be no orders until this case proceeds. In other words, he's saying nothing until... So let me put it in layman terms for you. Deuce gets to skate free for about 2 more weeks. And then once this case is active again, then you're going to find out what's going to happen to Deuce. With the sanctions, with his pro hoc vice status, everything. Now, you also understand a lot more things have happened today. Even in a live chat this morning, Deuce was calling Randy a clown when he declared in federal court. Oh, I didn't ever call him a clown, and yet here he is in a chat calling him a clown again. Well, that's going to be interesting in federal court, isn't it? It's not like we don't have everything. It's not like they don't know we're screenshotting everything, screen recording everything, and they just pile more evidence and evidence and evidence and evidence and evidence and evidence. I mean, they literally are handing it over to us. You understand, now some of you can be thinking, well, Jeremy, you're talking about it. You say things. I don't break the law. There's a massive difference. This side over here, that's legal. This side over here, this is illegal. This is what they do, illegal. This is what I do, legal. I don't break the law. Okay, so judge emphasizes, listen, it's on pause. We're not making any rulings, no motions whatsoever until this thing is active again. Once it's active, and literally he's stating, we're not going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about it. We're on a pause. We're on a stay. So it can't be talked about. And again, I'm in the background going, listen, I want relief. I want justice. I want my life back. And I want, these people to behave appropriately. Anybody has the right to live anywhere they want, whether it's across the street from me, and I have the right to sell my property if I want, because I don't want these freaks by me. But you don't have the right to defame somebody and constantly harass them illegally, which is what is happening. And a lot of that is going to be dealt with in Ohio court here very soon, very, very soon. And so the judge asked LIEnette, is that okay? 2 weeks, we hit the ground running, we're proceeding no matter what. LIEnette goes, yep, okay. So that is in essence what happens. The judge orders an extended stay. He said, you still have motion for me. It's going to be an extended stay for 14 more days. Then we're going to have another status call, and then we're moving forward no matter what. So a 20-minute call filled with massive amounts of horrible audio, filled with Crook not even being there. LIEnette stating that she goes by Michelle. She has no responsibility, no tie to John whatsoever. And We got no information on the sanctions and the rulings, except they're coming. And they're coming extremely soon. 14 days, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.